Everybody please stand. We give homage to the Creator, who is like our Father, who is like our Mother, who is everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive, who is everything, yet is no thing, who comes to us in the form of the Neteru Ra, who is the light of the heavens, the light of the inner planes, and the light of our lives, who shines the light for us on the path of Ma'ati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us in the form of the light and vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light, for those who are blind to the facts of their place, position, and responsibility in the divine scheme of things. May we be Ma'akeru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality. And in the moments of crises and the dark night of the soul, when it appears that everyone and everything else has let us down, so it is and so shall it be. Amen Ma'at.
Amen Ma'at.
Ma'akeru.
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 Please continue to stand as a spiritual warrior and being an understanding of what's been going on in the world and certain aspects, and I'm just continuing on. This does start our Kemetic resiliency part 2. So I'm going to say take a deep breath in. You're going to inhale for 4 seconds, and then you're going to just utter one word that is positive. And I'm going to have you face different directions and do that. Okay? So everybody, big inhale. Sound positive.
Sunshine.
Turn to your right. Everybody open your arms so you can be receptive. Palms forward. Big inhale. Say something positive as you exhale. Turn to your right. Big inhale. Say something positive as you exhale. Turn to your right. Big inhale. Say something else positive as you exhale. Turn to your right again. Place your right hand over your heart, left hand up and so. I want you to take an extremely deep breath, 8 to 10 second count, and just let it all out. Inhale. Exhale. Now place your left foot forward while still keeping your hands in that posture, and just close your eyes and just let all the positive things that you utter resonate within yourself. As Kemites, we are not just warriors of Ma'at, we also have to make sure we take care of our internal temple and be spiritual warriors as well. Just keep breathing. Try to clear your mind of all the negative and just put those positive words into play in yourself. Feel it in your heart. And then from your heart, everybody lift that left hand up a little bit closer to the head, to the temple. From the heart to the mind, may all the things that you seek become. And remember, the union of the word and the mind produces the mystery which we call life. And for therein lies the secret to immortality. And we're done. Okay? MC, do up. All right. So, this is part 2 of Kemetic resiliency. I am the Kopesh Kopresh. And yeah, the Mighty Falcon is about to take flight. We're going to start off with Kemetic Proverbs, page 38. And it states, as a camel bears labor and heat and hunger and thirst through deserts of sand and faints not, so the fortitude of a man should sustain him or her through perils. As Kemmunites, we have many different tools, but going on with what our soccer head spoke about with Medet Neferet, which is good speech. So I want everybody to write down the words, because that's what we was doing, right? We was connecting the words to our actual Kat, which is our actual physical body. So those was actions when we were taking our breath and moving. So next to Kat is physical body and action. Medet Neferet is good speech, and next to that is words. And those things build our Ka, which is our vital energy or spirit. And when I mean spirit, you can also put meditation, absorbing it into our mental state. And those things produces the fourth thing, which is Manad, the stability of the mind, or the clarity, or the ability to see things with great clarity. In different times and different places, we all exhibit certain attributes that might defeat us, right? So we're on top of raw solar bark, and we riding and grooving and just enjoying that journey called life. So I am definitely enjoying the journey with you all. So where I left off last time, I was discussing the bark, and I'm just going to correlate it in live time. So we have Ra, Geb, Aset, Nebahet, Nu, Asar, Shu, Tefnu, and Satesh on that bark. So when you think of Geb, you should think of nutrition and abundance. When you think of Aset, you should be thinking of devotion and magic. Nebahet, self-mastery and shadow work. Nu, philosophy and astronomy. Asar, authority and regeneration. Shu, peace and breathing. Tefnu, water and cycles of life. And Satesh, consistency and agile thinking. And I just want you to hold that there, and I just want you to think about, who do you have on your boat called this thing called life that we're in together? Who's really riding with you within your circle? And that is extremely important. And how those people help us fight against what I call the four negatives, right? The first one is neglect. The second is doubt. The third is pessimism. And the fourth is complaining. I repeat, 4 major negatives that we face is neglect, doubt, pessimism, and complaining. So I'm basically taking a proverb for each one that can help us guide, at least mentally, because everything is our own self-journey, our own self-sharpening. So for neglect, let's turn to Kemetic Proverbs, page 25. It states, men and women are to become God-like through a life of virtue and the cultivation of the spirit through scientific knowledge, practice, and bodily disciplines. Once again, men and women are to become God-like through a life of virtue and the cultivation of the spirit through scientific knowledge, practice, and bodily discipline. So, is there any reason really to ever feel like to practice neglect, to not do the things you set out to do, to not fulfill the things that are important, right? Like neglect of friendships, neglect of responsibilities, or neglect happens when we just put too many things on our plate. Because everybody believes you can multitask. Human beings are terrible octopus. There's a reason why we only got 2 limbs, 2 arms, 2 legs, etc. But in our search to be more godlike, our practicing virtues and cultivating our spirit through scientific knowledge and practice, and fulfilling our disciplines, we can stop neglect, or at least prevent it most of the time. Next is doubt, and we're still on page 25 of Kemetic Proverbs. It states, to know God, strive to grow in stature beyond all measure. Conceive that there is nothing beyond thy capability. Know thyself deathless and able to know all things, all arts, sciences, the way of every life. I think that's always deep. And once again, sciences and the arts and how we live comes up again. And most importantly, to know Netta is to really to know ourselves, and to know ourselves is to be in tune with nature, and to be in tune with nature is to be walking living, breathing gods on earth, and that is our goal as Kemites. So we never really got to doubt our abilities. We are actually all one of one, different fingerprints, different snowflakes, different types of fire. And that's all good, right? So doubt, it creeps in. We all feel doubt. Even getting up on this platform and speak, you might feel doubt. I don't suffer from that, so I'm always ready to talk the talk. But it doesn't stop, you know. Maybe I might suffer from neglect, and you just got to be real with it. Because being too busy, you just become forgetful. Becoming forgetful, what's the saying? All good deeds lead to, what's the saying they use? The process to hell is in good deed, like your content.
The road to hell's paved with good intention.
Paved in good intention, right? So you can have your best intentions, and life happens, and you just become neglectful, right? So I had to call a friend. You know, shout out to my man Wayne Pack. I love you, bro. I missed this wedding. That was rough. That was a rough conversation. That's my brother, so I wanted to give him a public apology and demonstrate that I suffered from neglect, where I might not suffer from doubt. Neglect did happen, and it's just a real thing. But we were able to mash it up as men, you know, kick it, punt it, and we just move forward. Because, and with all things, when you are who you say you are, you're always in good grace with folks, even when you falter. Right. So it's all good. It's part of that life journey. Next is pessimism. So we're going to go to page 27 of Kemetic Proverbs. And it states, whoever has eaten the knowledge of every Netzaru, their existence is for all eternity, and everlasting their spirit body. What they will, they do. Once again, whoever has eaten the knowledge of every Netzaru, their existence is for all eternity and everlasting in their spirit body. What they will, they do. So now, pessimism, it's kind of deep, right? So it is an inclination to emphasize adverse aspects, conditions, and possibilities, or to expect the worst possible outcome, or create actions that allow its effect to overtake our balance and basically destroy our inner peace. That's what pessimism does. So when you're talking to a pessimistic person, or you're feeling pessimistic, technically you're just emphasizing the negative. And it's really hard for you to partake of what the Netzaru provides for you in your everyday life that guides you if you're focused on pessimism. Last but not least is complaining. And we go to page 72 of the Hosea, I believe. Yes. Let me see. No, sorry, Kemetic Proverbs. We staying here, we flying here. We flying inside Kemetic Proverbs. So page 72, the second one, right above opposites in creation, it states, put a bridle on thy tongue, set a guard before thy lips, lest the words of thine own mouth destroy thy peace. But in silence it is safety. Complaining. I guess we all do it, right? Maybe I was complaining at like 8 or 9. I don't have many complaints. I'm actually really content in life. And my life is really, I'm really peaceful and blissful. But complaining is to express a grief, a pain, or discontent, or to make formal accusations or charges of things that we can no longer control. It's just it. And I'm not saying we shouldn't express ourselves and be open and transparent when things happen. We just have to make sure that we always practice our 4 R's. And as Kemetic people, that is extremely important. And I'm not saying that when we take notice of things that we don't call it out, right? And I hope we always have transparency within ourselves, within our community, and even other Kemetic people online, that we can always be open and honest with ourselves. And that's how we're going to really advance our legacy for a future generation. Because things die when we complain too much. Love dies, friendships die, organizations die. And we got to understand we're trying to regenerate things in modern time that will outlive us. So watching those complaints, they should be very far and few. And understand yourself in the divine scheme of things as well, right? And that always helps us with complaining. So I thought it was really cool how, you know, everybody was naming different movies, and I just really thought that was dope. I didn't really have that insight to do that, but I did go to the Last Dragon 40th anniversary yesterday and enjoyed myself, and met one of my old not one of my old senseis, but a sensei I really idolized back in the day, and he remembered me from a tournament. Now that might not mean anything to anyone here. That was a big deal for me yesterday. Big deal. Big deal. Because you know I'm from the era when they just gave you the grunt and the carry on. That was it. If you got the grunt, you did good. If you got the back turn, you were like, ah. So for him to be like, oh, he didn't remember my name, even though we share the same name, but he was like, tournament, 1999, such and such and such. And I was like, oh. And then we started chopping it up, and he told me that he's 81 now. And he said, yeah, I got a jiu-jitsu tournament in Kuwait I'm getting ready for. He still look good. And I was like, wow. And I said, I remember telling him, you know, I got to be like you as I get older. I'm like 17 at the time, right? Then I'm realizing I am him where he was, where he met me. You go, whoa. And that was kind of like freaky too, right? And then I was like, oh, you know, because nobody was speaking to him. They only came to see like the stars of the movie, not the man who did the choreography.
Was it the Black Dragon?
Absolutely, the Black Dragon. Ron Van Cleef created a Chinese Gold Jew. He even fought in the UFC, I think at like 55 or something like that. First one. You know, to try to put his system out into the world. And I always, you know, it's like a running joke. Oh, kind of like he got thrashed as an old man, but he's like 54, facing a eager 27-year-old like D1 wrestler. Like, but he still went up there like in good stride. But still like to say this, that he looked good. I was like, oh, I was like, Grandmaster, you looking good. And the fact that he's just like, oh, he's been training with one of the greats for the past 13 years, and I was chopping it up how I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the past 6 years, and it was just so interesting, like our lines were like running, you know, and a lot of people don't know, I also used to train the Prime Minister's daughter of Kuwait, so it's like, he's like, I'm going to Kuwait, like, not a problem, right? So it was really like world interesting, and I had that moment of like, 30 minutes of his time. You really don't get those at those events, but nobody really was talking to him. You just had some old men come, you know, but other than that, nobody knew. So we got to chop it up a bit. So that was like the crowning moment to re-see the Black Dragon. I haven't seen him since the days of that tournament, and when I was doing some seminars with Grandmaster Ronald Duncan, who was also one of his teachers, so our whole energy system kind of aligns. So shout out to him and his time. So in life, we're breaking arrows, and then we're catching the right arrows sometimes to become the master of our destiny. There are no signs how we become the master of our destiny, but through trial and error, through missteps, and also most importantly, picking ourselves up each time, we start to understand our proper path. And that leads us to us being I am, who we are supposed to be. Because you are the master. You know, it is you. You're the only one that when the fortune cookie break, it's just you. There's nothing in there. There's no text technically that can describe how great you are. It's up to you to realize that in your mirror, and you should see it within your friends and then within your family, right? And then we're with our friends and we're traveling on that yellow brick road of life, which builds our heart and our courage and our compassion, and teaches us the clarity to deal with calamity. And we get to learn who's who and who's ruling and who is the Oz, and you realize that it's you who's I am. You're still the master. You're still the king, the queen of your existence. No matter how tough that road gets, no matter how friends swap out, and no matter how things play out, you still got to be I am. And then, you know, for our sports addict, you know, every day can be a main event of some sort. You know, you might have your Super Bowl with your brothers. You might be in the World Cup at work, the next day the World Series with maybe somebody in here, and the following week the NBA Finals with your spouse. But, you know, or you're just having a UFC moment at a place, somebody cut you off, hit your car. Right? Having that type of main event. But guess what? By being you, because you are you, and you are the master, and you have the glow, and you've been down the yellow brick road of life or still traveling, and your home is wherever you are. You have the tools within your name, right? So we should never forget our brand. Sometimes I take a step back and I'll be like, wait, I'm Kapresh, I can't do that. Like, wait. Or I'm Nicole Pesh, and I just got a lot riding on that title, how I want to bring it for the next generation after I transmute. And then you have your Netaru, your reading, the deities that govern you, and the deities you're supposed to express in your everyday life as you live. You're not supposed to worry about if you feeling like all set and somebody go like, you think you're better than everyone? You're supposed to be like, well, yes, today, at this moment, I am God. I am that what you see in that moment. And we got to become cool with being cool with the Netaru and the Neter that we express in our life. That's as real as that get. You know, like sometimes I be thinking like, man, am I being too much Mantu? Am I being too much attached? And I'll be like, no, that's just the persona I am in this lifetime. And it's just, you gotta accept it or not, but once you understand that it's always Ma'at is the springboard. So I might be cold, it's not that I'm being cold, I'm just getting to the crux of the issue. I am like others, I don't really like to talk, I do like to joke personally, but I'm not much of a like public talker. So to everybody online, cheers to you. Next is our community. So now community is very important. Coming to communion is very important because it's checks and balance. You miss a lot, like everyone online, you don't really get to see our procession before. You don't really get to participate in our meditation. And those things are really important. So being here live time is a real benefit. And most importantly, you know, you meet people who be like, yeah, you know, I used to study under blah, 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 and I did cartwheels in this tomb and blah, blah, blah. And then when you look at their life, with how they view ancestors and how they actually even view the tradition, you just be like, you kind of like a white man in black face. You don't really have any reverence for it, any love for it, or any compassion for it. You're just going through the motion because you hated the fact your family was Jehovah's Witness and probably had you knocking on doors, and now you're just like, can't do that no more, so I'm just going to take this so-called philosophical route to something that, you know, that I think or know, which is older, so I can fight against, you know, things that I felt was enslaving me as a teenager or a young man, or whatever was happening in your life. So being part of the community and coming to communion and making holidays like Kemetic gives us the ability to make peace. So yeah, like with me, I can have an issue with someone, I can state it and not feel anything and just state my opinion and be cool about it, right? But with others, they might be like, yo, I thought compression was coming at me, but that's just how I am about certain things. But no, on the back end, anyone, anytime, you can always call me. And you can just get the situation. Because what you think I'm feeling towards you, I don't feel at all. Like I'm a moment kind of person. What happens in the moment, it stays in the moment, and then I like move on. But it is something I want to discuss. I'll probably be the first one to hit you on the back and like, yo, We gotta talk about that. Let's get clear. Not, and it doesn't even have to be anything serious. It can be philosophical, it can be a thought, it can be whatever. But I'm that kind of person. I always feel like being part of this community teaches us to be transparent with each other. And always remember, try to have 24 hours in your heart for your sanu and sanu to make peace, to make resolution. Like bringing things up 5, 6 years ago, like we've already, they're a new person. Their body already shedded different skins. It's all brand new. Like everybody's brand new at that point. So being here in the community, I can't state it enough, is so important. Because that's just what it is. It keeps you accountable. So in a Kemetic tradition, you do have sages that went out and they go out into the world and they create and they draw people in with their science at the time, and that should always exist, right? But even a lone wolf only hangs out like 5 to 10 miles away from the tribe, and sometimes his old wolves leave some food or her food to eat. Technically, there's not even a lone wolf. The lone wolf is just the alpha that couldn't be alpha anymore and just took a step back and let the other alpha lead. You know what I mean? So even in nature, nothing is left alone. Nothing is without community. So how can you call yourself Kemetic and you have no community? That is probably the most bizarre thing that we can talk about in this lifetime. And then, you always have your own path, and just know that you're a God on earth, that I am who and we are who we are. So let's get into the sciences, right? Because everything was mentioned today, the science. And whether you're into these things, I know people are into these things. So the science of biology, because we're dealing with our body has 7 things that it does. It respires, it breathes, right? It grows, it excretes, it reproduces, it metabolizes, it moves, and it responds to its environment. So you always feel somebody's energy, and you always feel the changes of the earth. You're not going crazy when you wake up out of that cold sweat and you're like, something's going on. It might not be in your immediate area, but then you come on the TV, you're like, oh man, it was like a tsunami in Japan, it was like an earthquake. We get to feel those things. When it was fires in Canada, we smelled the smoke. What are you talking about? So all things are interconnected, and all things affect our cotton body, and our skin is the biggest organ we have. So we are affected, we feel people's aura, we feel their brain power. You might not be receptive to it, but it is always feeling. Next is mathematics, right? So there's basically 7 aspects to mathematics. There's objectivity, symbolism, abstractness, logical structure, applicability, precision, and accuracy. It means you study math if you practice those and have those in your life. You are mathematic. It's not just 1 plus 1, but 1 plus 1 got to be precise, and it got to be accurate, and it's got to have objectivity. Like there's 4 corners to this podium. Everything is math if you look at it like that, and a lot of things is geometry. I think all Kemites should study a form of geometry at some point, or at least basic geometry, because we are the geometric people, and it will add to your astrology and astronomy. Next is physics. So now we're dealing with the cosmos, right? I believe the Neteru is real, and they're just emanating energy of physics. And some people just believe they're principles, and it was just secret physics they were talking about. Well, I'm initiated Kemite, so I'm going with the Neteru are 1,000% real and true, and still exist, not just in rock structure, not just in our heart or some imaginary tell or metaphysical tell for righteousness, but they do actually exist. They are everything, they're part of Netta, everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive. You can't see somebody's aura, but you can feel when somebody dislikes you. So in physics, there's 7. There's optics, electromagnetism, relativity, thermodynamics, acoustics, quantum physics, and mechanics. That's just 7. And as a Kemite, you should probably pick up one of those. By trade, I was a mechanical engineer, so I really like putting things together. Even though it's been a long time since I did that, but that was my first job out of high school. So that was really cool. I got the opportunity to go to high school and tech school at the same time. And they put the top 3 students in your job. And you started making your way, your money, and then they gave you a stipend to go to college. I did 1 semester, realized I made more than my teacher, and my arrogance kicked in, and I said, I'm out of here. I probably should have finished that, but I wouldn't have took the path of the entrepreneur that I did and have the journey that I had to have, my own yellow brick road, my own failures, my own sneaking into clubs, my own trying to sneak in a bad boy at one time to work for public. Yeah, it was a thing, you know? Before this thing, being around certain people were a thing. You know what I mean? No, real talk, because it might sound odd, but in the hood, you know, sometimes all we have is our celebrity image. It would be crazy for me to think, like, do I even become a martial artist without The Last Dragon? Like, I literally watched that movie like 80 times. And then I'm just walking, and then I find a flyer to my karate school in a storm drain. It was raining, and I was like, man, I gotta work on this asthma. I gotta run. And my mom was like, yo, I'm so human out. You're gonna catch an asthma attack. You know me, I was like so dramatic. If I don't do it, I'm gonna die and never become nothing and blah, blah. But technically, I was right, because then I find a flyer, right? So, optics is everything. Whether optics is false or not, or we don't see the complete optics, wise people understand that a certain work ethic and a certain thing that's being presented, if it's positive, you can use it. Now, if somebody can't maintain the character of that, then that's on them. That's not on the actual optics that help drive you. You know, I would hope that all black people love Malcolm X, regardless if he was Muslim or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he left the NOI, like, yeah, and still Malcolm X, like, what are we gonna do with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, whether they think it's a bad character, and guess what? It might be, it's their right as NOI to feel that way, because that's his tribal group. But then he went his own path, but I still love the teachers of Malcolm X. I still listen to them on YouTube. Like, that doesn't change. So our optics versus our character in certain situations is 2 different things. And what we promote, as long as it's positive, of course, it's something to be respected. So next, I just want to discuss our, 7 physical activities or physical wellness, things that make us well. Or human activity, human activity. I have it at 7, but also I will get into the 9 that Neely fully likes to use, but I just put it at 7. We have the human wellness or human activity. I lowered it to 7 because I just thought it made more sense. We have our physical activities. That is exercise, the food we eat, and our sexual things that we do. It's all part of your physical. That's just what it is. Next is intellectual activities, our education, our entertainment, and our politics. How we view things that are happening. The following is our vocational activities, the gifts, skills, and talents, and the things that allow us to make money. It's very important. Then we have our social activities, family, friends, and our networks, who we know. You know certain people, can't bring everybody around everyone, right? So just knowing who people are in a place of time. I have friends that I really love dearly, and they will like go through hell and high water with me, but when I'm out trying to make money or make a deal or do something, they just kind of got to sit back, or the deal ain't going on, right? And no, really, it's a real thing who our friends and family are. I was supposed to train a particular diplomat, but one of my friends is, not one, but 2 of my friends are locked up for murder. And they were like, you know these people? I was like, absolutely, very proud. But there's no lying to the feds when you're trying to interview. They already know who you know. And they're not dumb. So there's no need to lie, because then you just look crazy and you break your own character. So long story short, that doesn't go through because we are a product of who we associated with at any time. Could have been 15 years ago, 18 years ago, but when you want to maneuver in certain things, it is looked and frowned upon. That's just how it is. It's okay. I still get paid, no big deal, and that was just crazy money and a 3:15 a.m. start. I just didn't get to do it. That's all. Okay, emotional activities. So emotional activity is your self-esteem. So your self-esteem. There's nobody else's self-esteem. And how you have a positive outlook on yourself. Like I was building with a Hadu earlier today, he was talking about, and I love just, I was asking, I was just proud of him and seeing how he responds. He was just like, yeah, I set up my boundaries and I stopped caring about this, and I just like kind of position myself when I'm in control of what I'm doing and who I associate with. And now I have like a power because now I can go hang out over there. I'm not worried about them. And now the people who were like kind of acting funny style, they circling back. How do come hang out? Because like I always tell them, if you're likable and you're doing positive things, the world is yours regardless of who dislike you or not, right? So you can't really beat that. And that made me really happy to see that he had a high positive outlook of himself and also his own self-esteem. So shout out to his pops and Judy right here to my left, looking all African GQ. You can't see him though. Like very regal today. I can give people their props. Next is our spiritual activities, which we all know, so we'll keep it short, just our philosophy, our meditations, and our religious practice. Clearly we're here. That doesn't need to be discussed. And our environmental activities. It all starts with your home, your workspace at work, how you commune with nature, and how you commune with animals and insects and everything else around you. So, say all that to say this, who do you have on your solar bar with you? Remember, let's go to the Hosea, page 55. I always say I hate to speak, but then I end up having like super long communions, but it's all good. It's 55. Okay, the X, the 10. So it says, walk each day in the way of righteousness, and you will reach the place to which you are going. Never speak evil words to any visitors. And words spoken carelessly someday when you are gossiping may overturn your house. If you are found generous in times of prosperity, when adversity comes, you will be able to bear it. If you are righteous, you will be recognized and respected. And whether you are among many or few, you will find your family and friends, and all you wish will be granted. That ends our part 2 to Kemetic resiliency. I hope everybody had a good day. So if we can stand. Do we go in peace and satisfaction? Give me a matap. And then left over right, then right over left. Be the walk from job to I think we all forget this.
Give energy around the
Give energy
room.
around the room.
Bring it
Step
in.
your left foot back. Bring your hands into your heart. And you go down and stomp out on 3. Rock, salute, Shemet. Do our net to everyone. And also Cash App, Temple of Anu.
Oh, okay. You say he got it. Okay.
Make sure if you enjoyed this message today, Cash App, share our message on Facebook and Instagram. And do we have any events coming up?
And make sure you buy a ticket to come to the Feast and Sex
Feast
Met,
and Sex
everybody.
Met.
New Year's
Feast and Sex
Eve
Met.
in
New
Plainfield, New
Year's Eve.
Jersey.
And make sure you wear your best friends for us. Show me the
Show me what's up, everybody.